The day after the bitter council dispute, Prince Alaric went to the marketplace, hoping to find solace in Lira's company. But her stall stood empty, the wooden counter bare. His heart clenched with worry as he waited hour after hour, until the sinking sun confirmed she wouldn't come. Driven by concern, he slipped through the winding streets to her cottage. As he neared the window, Lady Alizia's frail voice carried through the thin walls. "My child, I am too sick to recover," the old woman whispered. "You're going to be fine, mother," Lira protested, but her voice broke with tears. "No, my time has come," Alizia coughed weakly. "Before I go, you must know the truth. You are not my daughter." Alaric saw Lira's face drain of color through the window. "But mother, you're the only family I have." Lira gasped, clutching Alizia's hands. "These were your first words to me, in the letter," Alizia rasped, pressing a yellowed parchment into Lira's shaking hands. "This is all I know of your true parents." "Farewell, my child," Alizia murmured, her trembling hand stroking Lira's hair one last time. "May God bless you with a loving partner. I wish I could see that day." Her hand fell limp. A heart-wrenching scream tore from Lira's throat as she shook Alizia's still form. Alaric burst through the door without thinking. Lira looked up with wild, tear-flooded eyes and pointed helplessly at Alizia's body before fleeing outside, where neighbors soon gathered to comfort her. For days, Lira became a ghost of herself. Alaric took charge of the burial arrangements while she sat motionless in grief. When the stream of mourners finally dwindled, he found her one evening staring blankly at the cold hearth. "Lira," he said gently, kneeling beside her. "Come walk with me. Staying here drowning in sorrow will only make your mother sad in the hereafter. She'd want you to live." After long silence, she gave a numb nod. They walked to the stream where fireflies danced over the water. Halfway there, Lira suddenly patted her dress pockets. "The letter," she gasped, pulling out the crumpled parchment. "Read it to me," she begged, pressing it into Alaric's hands. "It's her last gift." As Alaric's eyes scanned the words, his blood turned to ice. The letter described that fateful day, the dying barbarian woman, the slaughtered warriors, the royal guard's brutality. The woman had been Lira's mother. The fallen warrior, her father. And Alaric, he'd been the child whose innocent mistake sparked the bloodshed. His hands trembled as Lira collapsed against him, her arms wrapping tightly around his as sobs racked her body. He swallowed the confession, burning his tongue. Now was not the time. Not when she clung to him like he was the only solid thing in her shattered world. As dusk deepened, Lira's crying subsided into exhausted sleep against his shoulder. Alaric carried her home, her feverish brow damp against his neck. When he tried to lay her in bed, her fingers caught his wrist. "Stay," she murmured, half delirious with grief and fever. He brushed sweat-dampened hair from her face and nodded. Through the long night, he kept vigil by her bedside, watching the moonlight trace silver paths across her tear-stained cheeks. The prince who loved her, the unwitting architect of her sorrow, the man who now carried truths that might destroy her all over again. The assassin moved like a shadow through the torchlit corridors of the palace, his steps silent against the cold stone. The two guards stationed outside the king's chamber nodded, They had been paid handsomely to look the other way. Inside, King Edric slept fitfully, unaware of the blade that would end his reign. The ice dagger struck true, plunging deep into the king's chest. A guttural scream tore through the night before being abruptly silenced. The assassin barely had time to yank the weapon free before the same bribed guards burst in, swords drawn, not to protect their king, but to eliminate the evidence. Realizing he too was meant to die, the assassin hurled himself through the chamber window, landing hard on the outer wall before vanishing into the sleeping city. By dawn, dark clouds hung heavy over the palace. Lord Varin arrived with theatrical urgency, his cries of grief echoing through the halls. He found Prince Alaric cradling his father's lifeless body, his face a mask of devastation. The prince killed his own father. Varin bellowed, his voice carrying through the corridors. The king is dead, murdered by his son for the throne. Before Alaric could defend himself, Varin's conspirators seized him, dragging him to the dungeons. The trial was a farce, judges bribed, evidence fabricated. Within 2 days, the prince was condemned to death. In his cell, Alaric awaited execution when the clink of keys broke the silence. An old army captain stood at the bars, his face weathered but kind. "We know you're no killer," the captain whispered, tossing Alaric the keys. This was Varin's doing. But without proof, we must buy time. "Survive, my prince." Alaric frowned. "Your face. I know you." The old man's eyes softened. A boy who couldn't bear a stranger's pain wouldn't kill his own father. Memory struck Alaric. This was the captain from that fateful day in the forest, the one who had spared the orphaned Lira. Disguised in a guard's armor, Alaric slipped through the palace, but shouts arose as he fled into the storm-lashed night. The chase led him to a cliff's edge, where Varin confronted him before a growing crowd. "How dare you, you wretched son?" Varin spat. "Your greed drove you to plunge an ice dagger into your father's heart." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Alaric seized the slip. "How do you know what weapon was used?" Varin's face purpled. "Seize him." "Look, people of Erendor, your king's killer spoke his plans out," said Alaric. With no other choice, Alaric leapt into the raging river below. A knock startled Lira from her grief. She opened her door to find Alaric drenched and desperate. "Did you hear?" she whispered. "The king is dead, and they say his son." Alaric clamped a hand over her mouth as another knock came. He mouthed, "Hide me." Lira, though shaken, pointed to a hidden compartment behind a cupboard. Alaric barely fit inside as she answered the door. A soldier thrust a wanted poster at her. 10,000 coins for the prince, dead or alive. When the door shut, Lira turned to Alaric, her voice trembling. "Why?" "Not now," he begged. "We must flee." Under cover of storm and shadow, they escaped the city, their fates now bound by secrets and sorrow. The forest swallowed them whole, leaving Erendor and Varin's lies behind.